Hi, I'm Susie Garden, and this is the Ageless and Awesome podcast. I'm an age-defying naturopath and clinical nutritionist, and I'm here to bust myths around women's health and aging so that you can be ageless and awesome in your 40s, 50s, and beyond. The Ageless and Awesome podcast is dedicated to helping women through perimenopause and menopause with great health, a positive mindset, and outrageous confidence. Hit subscribe or follow now, and let's get started. Hello, gorgeous one, and welcome to this week's episode of the Ageless and Awesome podcast. I'm so glad to have you here today. Today, I'm going to be talking about a topic that I don't think I have talked about before, which always makes me happy when I find a topic that I haven't talked about before, because I've been doing this podcast for a number of years now. And I guess it was only really since the beginning of last year, I think, that I pivoted it. Oh gosh, mate, it was even the year before, but to be really focused around perimenopause and menopause. And so, yeah, I've covered a lot of topics. So if you are actually ever looking for a topic, just please do have a look through. If your podcast app has a search function, you can have a look through that to find a particular topic that you want information on. If you can't find anything, please do message me. You can message me on Instagram at the perimenopause path. You can email me hello@susiegarden.com. And I always love suggestions for topics. But today's topic, I thought it's kind of an interesting one. And it's all about the lymphatic system and how it works with our hormones. And it is actually quite interesting because it's probably a system that you don't really think about too much unless you've got something wrong with it. So, for example, like if you have inflamed lymph nodes, if you're getting sick and you get a bit of, your lymph nodes play up a little bit, they get a bit sore, they get a bit tender, particularly under the jaw, maybe in the armpit. That's often the first time people are thinking about their lymphatic system. And so I wanted to talk about that today and why it's important to look after our lymphatic system. And it's actually really, really easy to do. But, it does help if you're actually keeping it in mind, I guess, when you're looking at your own health. So, and even did you even know that your lymphatic system and hormone health are closely connected? Because I suspect many people don't actually know this. So I'm going to start with some basics, like what actually is your lymphatic system. So your lymphatic system, it's actually a bunch of different organs, and it's a network of tissues. So when we're talking about the lymphatic system, it's our lymph nodes. So as I mentioned before, some of these are under your jaw and in your neck, under the armpits, in the groin. There are multiple places where we have these lymph nodes. We also have lymph vessels that the lymph fluid travels through. We have the thymus gland. So the thymus gland, not to be confused with the thyroid gland. And again, many people probably don't know even about the thymus gland. It's part of your immune system, also part of your lymphatic system. And the thymus gland is actually in your chest. So it's about if you find the sternal notch just at the base of the neck and you go and find your breastbone, it's about halfway-ish is your thymus gland. It's actually a decent sized gland too. So that's there. You've got your spleen, which you've probably heard of before. Your tonsils and your adenoids are also a part of this. So if you've had them removed, that's actually an important part of your lymphatic system that you don't have anymore. So it's probably even more important that you have some awareness of how to support your lymphatic system. The primary roles, I guess, of the lymph or the lymphatic system is to maintain fluid balance. So if your lymphatic system is not working very well, that's where you can get some fluid retention. People that have had lymph nodes removed, for example, under their armpits. This happens a lot with breast cancer, breast lumps being removed. Sometimes they'll take some lymph nodes to check them out, or sometimes they'll do a full clearance of the lymph nodes if there is cancer present. And when people have their lymph nodes under their armpits removed, they cannot have their blood pressure taken on that arm, because that can really interfere with the flow of lymph and cause swelling, quite nasty swelling in the arm. And anyone that has had that procedure and had that removed, those glands removed, will know this. And also they probably experience swelling in the arm from time to time and have to wear a compression sleeve to help kind of prevent that fluid from building up in the arm. So that's something that, is people who have that situation know how to manage. They get taught how to manage that. But it is, I remember when I was nursing, that was one of the first things they taught us when they taught us about taking blood pressure, is always check to make sure that they haven't had lymph nodes removed on that side that you're taking the blood pressure. So that is really important. So they help maintain fluid balance. They are also a really important part of the immune system. So the lymph system or lymphatic system helps defend against infections, and also is a very important detoxification pathway. So it helps remove waste products from the body. So let's talk a little bit about it. So the lymphatic system is an important or has an important role in our hormone transport and distribution. So because, there is this network of vessels, the lymphatic kind of vessels that are all around our body, the lymphatic system helps to transport hormones throughout your body. So really helps to ensure that these hormones reach their target tissues and organs efficiently. Also, as I mentioned, there's an immune system regulation role that the lymphatic system has, and how that works with hormones. So hormones like cortisol, estrogen, and progesterone regulate immune responses. And the lymphatic system, being a key player in the immune system, helps to maintain a balanced response. I mentioned detox before. So the lymphatic system removes toxins, waste products, and excess fluids from tissues, preventing buildup that can really disrupt your hormone balance. When I talked about fluid balance before, and I talked about edema, lymphedema, the lymphatic system regulates fluid balance by returning this excess fluid that we have, that we're producing all of the time, returns it to the bloodstream, preventing swelling and maintaining tissue health. Also, as part of, its waste removal function in terms of the lymphatic system, it helps to manage inflammation and clear immune cells from sites of injury or infection. So if you have a cut or something and we have all of our immune system gets activated, and it sends nutrients and it sends a whole bunch of different cells to that area to help make sure we're fighting off infection and to heal the area. So then there's lots of waste that gets kind of produced when that happens. So the lymphatic system, or that through the vessels, helps manage inflammation, helps clear up immune cells after they've been used from sites of injury or infection, and it supports a balanced inflammation response, which is really essential for hormone health. And the thing is, when we're looking specifically at perimenopause or menopause, obviously the hormone link is really important. But in fact, at any stage of a woman's life, it does impact your hormone balance. Interestingly, there was a study done in 2017 that looked at the impact of lymphatic drainage, so that's a massage technique, on women experiencing menopausal symptoms such as fluid retention, mood swings, insomnia, and fatigue. And they found that after just one lymphatic drainage massage, the stress hormone cortisol, which I've spoken of a little bit lately, was significantly reduced, and that also produced mental and physical impacts that were positive for women in menopause. So while the lymphatic massage itself doesn't actually directly impact hormone levels, its ability to promote overall relaxation and supportive immune function may indirectly contribute to that sense of balance during menopause. So that I found really interesting. So yes, any kind of relaxation massage will help in terms of reducing the stress hormone, cortisol, because when you get from a stress response, your opposite nervous system is your relaxation response, and that's when cortisol drops back, and that will help sleep, and it will help digestion, and it will help probably your feelings of fatigue. But it was really interesting. It was a very specific technique that they use for lymphatic drainage, and that they saw these results. So that might be something if you are someone that's feeling kind of bloated, feeling like you're retaining fluid. I've had a client recently that within the first 10 days of doing her glow protocol, she said she was noticing differences in puffiness in her face, her neck. She said really all over her body. She had described on her initial consult that she felt bloated, but all over, not just sort of in her tummy, that she had this sense of being bloated all over. And within the first 10 days of being on her glow protocol, that puffiness and that sense of being bloated had disappeared, and she actually lost, I can't remember the number, it was like some ridiculous, like 6 or 7 kilos. So clearly there was a lot of fluid that got released, and that's why she just had this sense that this puffiness had gone. Now, if you can get that just by reducing inflammation and getting the food right and getting your water intake optimal, then I can absolutely see that if you're having a lymphatic drainage massage, that you would get those really positive effects. It doesn't take long periods of time to actually see really positive benefits. So I guess, as you know, in my podcast, I always like to give some solutions, as it were, to the different things that I talk about. So in terms of lymphatic health, what can you do to support that? So I've just kind of mentioned one of those things, which is potentially lymphatic massage, particularly if you are feeling like you're retaining a lot of fluid. And maybe that's not just in the center of your body, although that might be the case, but if you're feeling like your legs are really kind of puffy and your arms are puffy and your face, your neck, then maybe a lymphatic massage specifically would be of value to you. So that's one thing. The other thing that is, or one of the other things that's really important, and many of you, if you've done a first aid course, you might know this, is if you get bitten by a snake, that the snake venom actually moves through the lymphatic system. It doesn't go through the bloodstream. So that's why with the first aid that we're taught for snake bite, immobilization of the limb is super important. You don't put a tourniquet on because the poison isn't going through the blood, it's going through the lymphatic system. So you need to immobilize the entire limb, because movement is what actually activates the flow of the lymphatic fluid through the lymphatic vessels. So by moving your arms, moving your legs, it just has that like a bit of a pumping action, I guess, that moves that fluid or that lymphatic fluid through the lymphatic system. So when you think about that, if immobilization stops that fluid moving, then obviously movement is going to be really beneficial to get that lymphatic flow. And so that can be walking, that can be dancing, one of my personal favorites because it's a whole body movement. But any sort of movement is going to help with that lymphatic flow so that you're removing those toxins, you're helping, in a sense, to balance out hormones in that way. Another way you can stimulate lymphatic fluid shift is through dry body brushing. And that is something that, I see clients having incredible results with. And I mean, I've had some clients actually, because I do really encourage dry body brushing in my programs. And as part of the gift pack in my Glow protocol is dry body brush and instructions. And I've had some clients even have to stop doing it for a few days because they get really enthusiastic. They're doing it every single day and they start feeling really nauseated because they've really accelerated their waste product removal and perhaps their liver's not quite ready for it. So you do have to be a little careful if you do decide to get into dry body brushing, is start doing it. And daily works well for many people, but maybe if you start feeling a bit sick, then I'd suggest dropping it to maybe twice a week, 3 times a week, and slowly build yourself up so that once you've kind of shifted that fluid initially, doing your dry body brushing regularly means that you won't get that buildup of fluid. It's a good kind of a maintenance program. Obviously, drinking lots of water is going to be another thing that I'm always going to recommend because it flushes your kidneys, helps your liver work more effectively. They're both fantastic organs of detoxification. And if you are shifting some of that lymphatic fluid around, you may be increasing the amount of waste that you're sending to those organs. So you want to make sure they're able to clear that. And yeah, that's probably the main ones. It's a really simple one: movement, dry body brushing, lymphatic drainage massage, drinking lots of water. Probably if you're looking also, if you really find if you spend a lot of time on your feet, if you work in retail, if you're a flight attendant, if you're a nurse, you find, and I've certainly when I was a nurse, you do find that your legs feel very heavy at the end of a shift. And so it can be useful to raise your legs. In yoga, we call it legs up the wall. And that can be very helpful also to just help drain that fluid. So I really recommend that as well. You don't have to do it for very long. In fact, when you first start doing it, sometimes you can't really tolerate doing it for very long. It can really make your legs ache. So just even a couple of minutes can be really effective. And then you just sort of start lengthening that time out to whatever feels good for you. It's actually a very relaxing pose to get into. And it's often one that we recommend for people before they go to bed because it can help with getting you relaxed, getting you into your parasympathetic nervous system and reducing that stress response so that you are able to sleep more easily. So I'd love to know, did you know that much about the lymphatic system? This is a really top line amount of information I've provided on this it's a bit more of a complex system than I'm talking about today because I just think about, what you is probably of interest to you. I know if you're anything like me, your brain's pretty full and you just kind of want the top line points. So I hope that's been helpful. But yeah, I'd really love to know if you have found that useful. So you can message me at the Perimenopause Path or hello@susiegarden.com. Enjoy the rest of your week and I'll be back next Tuesday with some more content for you. Thanks so much for joining me on the Ageless and Awesome podcast. If you liked this episode, please make sure you click the little plus button if you're on Apple Podcasts or the follow button if you're on Spotify so that you get each new episode delivered to you every single week. If you feel like writing me a 5-star review, you would absolutely make my day. If you found this episode resonated with you, head over to my Instagram and DM me at the Perimenopause Path. I would love to connect with you.